You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another installment of the Dog Pound Podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your October 27th, 2022 edition. Guys, if you're enjoying the video content on the network, please make sure you're hitting that like, smashing subscribe, and that bell icon for all updates on videos that get released on our YouTube channel. A lot of cool gaming stuff going on right now, and Kyle's really taking the lead with that. I've been kind of slacking lately, but try to get on that once again. He's got a new series coming up with the Edmonton Oilers in the franchise mode, NHL 23. Go and check that out if you're into the gaming content on the channel. As always, make sure you're following the podcast on Twitter at Dog Pound Podcast and at Armchair GM Pod. The Dog Pound Podcast on Twitter is where you're going to be getting all of our Ice Dogs updates and releases for all of our content. Will be on there. And Kyle does a lot of great stuff with graphics during the live tweeting for the game, so make sure you're staying with us at Dog Pound Podcast when the games do happen. If you're following us on the NiagaraIceDogs.net website, you can go there at Dog Pound Podcast under the Media tab, and you can find all of our episodes right there on the Niagara Ice Dogs website as the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs. As always, make sure, if you're listening in audio form, to give us some love on whatever audio platform you listen to us. I'm not going to list them all off because there's too many of them, but we're on there on demand for you guys to listen. Kyle's laughing his ass off right now already, but we haven't even started yet. The intro used to be a lot longer, so I've been trying to cut it down.
These intros are like a book. It's like the first chapter of a book.
Listen, I've done a good job. I've cut them in half, so just think they used to be like 3 minutes long each. Anyways, guys, I'm your host of the Dog Pound Podcast. My name is Brandon Caputo. You can follow me on Twitter right underneath there on the video side at Caputs13_AGM. And you can follow my co-host to my left there on the video version, Kyle Aikett at JustKyle51. Kyle, the intro's over. Thank you to all those who listened to all that. We went on the road trip this week. Again, the results weren't there for the Niagara Ice Dogs, but it was a cool experience nonetheless. I was already in Windsor once before, but it was my first time experiencing Sarnia, and it was your first time experiencing both Sarnia and Windsor, the southwestern road trip. So what were your thoughts on just the trip in general and being able to cross check off two more road arenas off our bucket list?
Yeah, I think the first of many road trips, because we plan to do more this season with the team and hopefully in the future. It was cool. It's such an awesome experience, and also hopefully, apologize for the last episode. We had some audio issues with me in the beginning. Hopefully, they've been corrected this time, and people are not.
I'm looking at it right now.
Turn them up, damn it!
You're good. Again, when you're switching from gaming content to podcasting, sometimes you have levels turned down, and again, apologize for all the ups and downs on last week's episode.
I need to hear the dogs. Turn them up.
We finally got the video worked out where you weren't lagging, so we got that fixed last week, and now we made sure that both the video and the audio
I can look like I'm lagging if I want.
Can you not?
All robotic.
I don't need you complaining again.
Anyways, the road trip, it was awesome. Great to travel with the team and, be kind of experience what it's like on the road with the OHL, right? I've played travel hockey before, like in my younger days, but it was never like on the bus and go. Travel was like Niagara region based travel. It was never going farther than that. So, it was my parents driving me everywhere. Like, kudos to them for doing all that for me when I was young, because it's grueling on the parents, let me tell you.
And you really get
it was.
I was gonna say you really get an appreciation for like what the equipment guys like Trevor Castonier do, like being him having to stay back and get all the equipment ready to go for the next day and load it up on and off the bus. Like it's just a crazy experience when you get to actually see what those guys do on the road and all the
yeah.
preparation that goes into it. You don't just show up at the rink and then you're all of a sudden playing. There's a lot of behind the scenes work, and even Jake Ventresca did a good job as well with all the behind the scenes stuff. So
yeah, shout out to you, Jake. We got to sit with Jake a lot and kind of
pick his
further
mind,
our relationship with him.
Yeah,
because he's such a cool guy. And then shout outs to again Trevor Panda. Our boy Panda there, he sat right in front of me in the bus, got to talk to him more and build that relationship. But yeah, you're right. You gain like a new appreciation for a lot of stuff else extra besides the players and coaches that go on. And again, it's just being and feeling in that environment and just experiencing what it's like on the road for an OHL team is insane. And the stuff that happens that will follow you for the rest of your life, stories already, like the one story between me and Brandon is we were like after the game. So the Sarnia game was on the Saturday. We're like, hey, where are we going to go to eat after? Are we going to go for drinks or are we going to do something? So I'm looking around like at the area where we are in Sarnia. There was really nothing. And a lot of places closed early, but I saw this bar that was next to the hotel. And on the website, it said closed at 1 a.m. Okay. On Google, it said it closed at 1 a.m., but their website says it closes at 10. Sure enough, they do. They closed at 10 p.m. A bar on a Saturday night in Sarnia closes at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.
What
is this? You're a bar.
This was their nightlife.
This ain't the breakfast restaurant. This is a bar. It closed at 10 p.m., so we didn't have anywhere to eat. So we got back to the hotel after the game, and we're like, hey, might as well skip the dishes, this stuff. Right? We'll just skip the dishes, find somewhere, we'll order. There's like nothing. There's like maybe like 12 things that we could order from. So we ended up picking Pizza Hut because I hadn't had Pizza Hut in ages. That was a long time since I had Pizza Hut. I think actually, Brendan, I swear to God, the last time I had Pizza Hut was with you before COVID when we went to the Pizza Hut buffet the one time. That was probably the last time I had Pizza Hut. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. Let me get myself a small personal pizza. Just crush that and it'll be good for the night. So sure enough, I ordered that. Brandon orders the wings. Now, if you ever ordered wings from Pizza Hut, it's Wing Street by Pizza Hut. It was the same restaurant, but it was two different things on Skip the Dishes. We both ordered at the same time. Mine came first. Brandon's came like 15 minutes after.
It was like 25.
And I'm like, this is the same restaurant.
I figured we'd have the same driver or something like that. And,
yeah,
we walked down there and Coach Shaw and Coach Fitzgerald are down there doing video, and they're thinking like, what are these guys? Don't get me going with the Fitzies thing. They're down there and they're like, what are these guys doing? They were just down here like 2 minutes ago, and it was like, well, I was picking up Kyle's food. Now we're waiting here for my food, and we bugged them for about 15 minutes. But no, it was just a cool experience, and like you said, yeah, I don't know how a bar closes at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, but Sarnia,
get your act together, Sarnia.
Let's talk about the rinks in general, Kyle. Was there one of the two rinks that you liked better? I know the view in Sarnia was very nice, but
so how do you want me to describe it? Do you want me to describe this as someone from the media or how the arena just looks from me? Because that was two different things.
Okay, well, let's quickly discuss as walking in just the doors. Like, what were your impressions of it?
Sarnia.
At least it wasn't confusing.
If we're comparing Sarnia and Windsor, Sarnia was more like a barn and Windsor was more like an arena. So, and the view we had in the press box was great for Sarnia. Just, was a little tight. Me and Brandon kind of felt like sardines in a tin can. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So
we had Ted Lehman on the radio broadcast right behind us. So that was
their media box was not the greatest. But then we go to Windsor, and Windsor is like, it looks like it should be it could probably pass as an AHL arena. From the outside, it's huge. It's got a double ring duplex attached to it. It's massive. It's got a lot of seating.
And quickly, I want to segue into a point for you. It was the Halloween game for Windsor, and the production quality. You were raving about that.
Oh man, the production for Windsor. So I had to, and I was looking it up too. I'm like, hey, who owns the team? Who owns the Chiefs? No, but 4 owners own the Windsor Spitfire. One of them is currently the associate coach for the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, Bob Bugner.
Yeah, the boogeyman. So yeah, he's part owner. So I'm assuming any money that he gets from coaching is being pumped into this team. And let me tell you, we got NHL production quality. They got their logo on the ice. I'm gonna post a video clip on. I meant to do that in the Dog Pound Twitter account of how they come onto the ice. It's this big giant blow up thing, light up. Big giant plane that they come out of underneath. And I'm like, what is this? There's fireworks. I'm like, compared to us, we just come out on the ice. And we got Rod going, your Niagara Ice Dogs, and we just skate onto the ice. No, here we got smoke coming from the Jumbotron. The lights are all. It looks like night and day difference between us and Windsor, and it just goes to show you when you have an extremely four rich owners,
and when you charge
that
like
type of production,
and when you charge over like $40 for a ticket.
Oh yeah, it was like $40 a ticket in the one section, like right behind the penalty box. I'm going, what?
Almost $50, I think, almost.
Yeah,
but I guess if you put it back in,
right? Yeah, and then they've had the success over the years, right? They had the Memorial Cup there. They had, they had the Memorial Cup there, and they had their team very successful in the past with
3 Memorial Cups.
You know what I mean? They have the funds. So it was crazy to see. Our sitting experience there as media people was interesting, and we were like way up there. But it was spacious. It was, if we're comparing space, Sarnia and Windsor is night and day for the amount of space that we had, and the media room for Windsor.
It just took a while to figure out where the heck it was, but
yeah, once we figured out where it was, dynamite. Those raps were so good. But anyways, I liked Windsor better. That's all I'm going to say.
And they both had blimps. We need blimps.
Yeah, they had blimps. Sarnia had a B, and Windsor had, I guess, an airplane. I don't know. It was just a blimp flying around with an ad on it.
Don't even get me going about Sarnia with the 2 mascots. I'm going to go on a rant about that, but I don't want to. But the blimps was a cool thing. I think it's a cool advertisement. We need to get like a dog blimp or something.
I don't know. Well, I mean, Sudbury is close. They have a wolf, a taxidermy wolf in the top.
Ottawa, shout out! I know nobody from Ottawa is probably listening, but that
67 Twitter
that was like the win of the century. If you guys know about Windsor, or not Windsor, was Sudbury with the wolf that comes across on the string. Ottawa posted a tweet that said "King of the North," and they put one of their players was like riding the wolf. It was like the funniest tweet I've ever seen.
Oh, tweet of the year, 100% tweet of the year.
So anyways, Kyle, let's talk about, we talked about the experience. It was cool being down there, but wasn't the results that the Niagara IceDogs wanted. Again, we'll get into a couple interviews shortly with Pasquale Zito and Pano Fimis. But again, the Sarnia game, and again, I'm kind of bypassing the Erie game because they picked up a point, and they
actually played good in the Erie game. It was a really tight game. That was the most exciting game out of all 3 of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was the game that the IceDogs showed up the most.
Yeah. So
they sort of started the game on time, but the 2 road games, they did not start the games on time at all.
And I really thought Erie was the game that they'd pick up 2 points, and then the weekend we'll see what would happen from there. But Sarnia, Nolan Dann returns to play his old team there in Sarnia, and it got off to a pretty rough start for the IceDogs, but then late third period comeback, and I'm gonna post or pull up the video on the YouTube's or on the video side of things, if you're watching, Pano Fimis, that unbelievable goal that he scored, picking the defenseman's pocket and then going in on goal, going top shelf. That was the OHL goal of the night, which is why I'm able to play it here on the video version of the podcast, and a good selly by Pano after. But, the IceDogs come up short to the Sarnia Sting. They got a late power play goal that put them back ahead after the IceDogs had clawed all the way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just... Again, like I said, it was another game. It was in one of the games out of the 3 games that they didn't start on time. It took Sarnia scoring 3 goals or 4 goals for the IceDogs to even look like a competitive team out there. Sarnia was just all over them, and I know they have their good players. They had Ty Voigt, a Leafs draft pick, which I can be happy about. But he had 4 points, right? He was a first star for a reason. They had Sikic, who had a really good game as well. They have Max Nemestikov, who literally looks like his brother. who's a good player out there as well. But like still, the IceDogs could have competed with them if they had started the game on time. Like look what they did in the third period. They had 2 goals within 30 seconds with Castle and Ribau, and then had Pano Fimis with that incredible goal. But like, where was this all the rest of the game? That big surge in the third period that they had that scored those 3 goals, that should have been from puck drop till the end of the game. But they didn't do it until the third period, and look what happened. It caused what it caused with a late power play goal, and that's how Sarnia won the game. But that easily could have been avoided if they had started the game on time. So it was a very close game, only a 1-goal game, but that's another winnable game. I think both the Erie and Sarnia games were extremely winnable. They could have had 2 points in both.
Yeah, they could have left with 4 points, and we talk about the end of the game there, and the IceDogs were already undermanned to begin with. They had a couple of guys out of the lineup this week. Micho was under the weather; he should be back this week.
It is tough, right? Like I'm not trying to compare my men's league team to the IceDogs, but like when we play short, it does affect the team, right?
Yeah.
So
and they had one guy rotating in on the fourth line, and then at the end of the game, some frustration comes out. Rodwin Denizio tried to get a late shot off, couldn't, and then, they kind of fall out to the neutral zone, and he cross-checks his man in the face, gets a 5-minute match penalty right at the end of regulation. So guess what that means? Another suspension for the IceDogs, and they're down to 5D going into Windsor on the Sunday, and they're already down, 2 forwards as well. So they basically have one person rotating in 3 forward lines and one person rotating in on 2 D pairs. So it was just, it's hard to do. They were getting more ice time, but again, they were due for more fatigue because of that, and it was just a rough go at it because of that. And you could tell when the players were kind of getting fatigued. They were doing all they could, but it just seemed like the numbers game really caught up to them in that regard. And I'm sure Denizio will be the first one to say he can't be going out there doing that. So another kind of the ebbs and flows of a game and the self-inflicted wound once again for the IceDogs, taking another late penalty like that leads to a suspension and leaves them shorthanded.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give I guess we can still talk about some of the positives that come out of that, and that's out of Erie and the Sarnia game. Aiden Castle scored 3 goals in those 2 games, so he's looked really good this season. He's looked like he's developed really well with the IceDogs, and that's a really good sign early on that he's basically taking the reins as the team's goal scorer through all of this, and he's looked really fantastic out there.
Yeah, and it was just one of those games where, like you mentioned, they could have easily got away with 2 points against Sarnia. They're in Stamkos land. They've got like a big Stammer corner in the one area of the arena.
You know what? I'm sorry, but like they have a Stamkos corner, which is, I'm not complaining they have that. Like that's awesome. they do that. And they had, I think, was it also Jordan Kyrou too? They had like a wall for him.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't we have a Pietrangelo corner like at all?
Dougie.
Like, or Dougie, like both these, like Pietrangelo, who's a Stanley Cup winning captain of the St. Louis Blues. How does he not have a wall? Like, how do we not have a tribute? I think we have like somewhere, like I know we have those like picture painted things on the random pieces around the concourse, but like, come on, you're telling me we can't dedicate like a corner to just Pietrangelo, have his jersey in like a picture frame, you know what I mean, and like stuff he's done in the NHL. Yeah. I just seeing that, I'm like, okay, like I know Stamkos is Stamkos, but Pietrangelo is one of the a top defenseman in the NHL. So I don't know. I feel like we could do a little bit better with our player tributes, because there are player tributes, just no one can see them. They're in the freaking hallway down by the dressing rooms and stuff, which that's great. And you can have those there for, like the players of the Dogs right now as motivation for them. But like, give something to the fans too to appreciate.
I agree. But we'll move on to the Windsor game quickly, Kyle. And we talked about not getting started.
Oh, God.
Again. Wow. An 8-4 victory for the Windsor Spitfires, and I think the IceDogs got down. They ended up fighting back. They got 2 quick power play goals by Pano Fimis, but it was too little too late, and the Windsor Spitfires definitely took it to an undermanned, and it looked like tired Niagara IceDogs group that was having to, double shift a lot. And again, Coach Fitzgerald say it's no excuse, but it was definitely not the most ideal situation for this young IceDogs team to go into against a powerhouse like the Windsor Spitfires.
Yeah, and another tough game for the IceDogs where, again, like I said before, like they didn't show up on time. But then, that kind of cost them in the end because they're going up against a really good Windsor Spitfire team who was going to that game 5-0-3, who didn't lose in regulation at all season. So, like, we knew this was going to be a tough game. And the IceDogs took 6 penalties in this game. So that also didn't help because out of those 6 penalties, they didn't score any power play goals, but that didn't help with the team fatigue enough, right? They're already down short.
Your penalty killers.
Your penalty killers are getting overworked, and then it allowed their stars. But man, Windsor is just an unbelievable team. It was so lopsided.
It was just like quick fire. Like they could score just like at will at times.
Yeah, and they were just quicker. They are on the puck. They took advantage of a downed IceDog team and a team that didn't show up, and they took advantage of that early. They scored 3 first-period goals, the first 2 goals in the second period, so they were up 5-0 before the IceDogs could even score. But again, it took the IceDogs scoring, or it took the opposite team scoring 5 goals before the IceDogs could even do anything or wake up. The IceDogs didn't really show up until those 2 power play goals, which it shouldn't take to the middle of the game on the power play for you to start the game on time. It needs to be from puck drop to the end of the game. And I know that they are shorthanded
and they were tired.
It's also not an excuse sometimes, right? You're gonna have to battle through adversity like this throughout the year. It's just, it was one of those games where they could have at least competed a little more, but then also at the same time with those shorthanded injuries and suspensions, it did kill them, and Windsor just took all over. A good team like Windsor took advantage of that and absolutely destroyed the IceDogs 8-4 in this game, and it was. I use the term often. It was a wash if I've ever seen one. And poor Owen Flores, man, got chased out of the net quickly. And speaking of fatigue, literally the game before, we had to throw Rosenzweig back in. I'm sure that didn't really help with. It sucks if you played that hard in the last game. You played a really good game on Sarnia. For him to go right back in, I know it's part of the job, but man, you'd kind of want your starting goalie to have a nice day's rest. But it is what it is. It isn't what happened, and the IceDogs got actually, the hockey term pumped in this one. But again, another positive. Pano Fimis scoring 2 goals. Those were clutch goals by Pano, trying to get his team out of that slump that they were in the game. I believe at that point it was like 6-3. So they were kind of making a game out of it, or at least making it less of a crushing defeat. But and then Kevin He scored again. He's looked really good. I know he's only scored 1 goal this weekend, but out of both games, you can see spurts of him in his offense.
So many chances.
I know he has a ton of chances. If he can learn to finish and his pucks actually go in the net, this kid could be an absolute star. And I think he will. It's his first year in the OHL. He's got 4 goals already in his first year in the OHL, and he's looked really good. So I think as he develops, he's going to develop into one of the top players in this team eventually. He has all, I think, the traits of a star player in this league. So
yeah, and it's just unfortunate. It was the back end of 3 games and 4 nights for the IceDogs, very undermanned, and running into a powerhouse team at home, it was just a recipe for disaster, and unfortunately, the IceDogs came out on the wrong end of that. But
there's the big thing too in this. The biggest thing in the Windsor game was we were facing Joey Costanzo, our boy. Shout out to him, fan of the show, Joey Costanzo, and of course, it was a game where he gets a nice big 8-4 victory against his former team. That must have felt really good for him. And especially stopping 28 of 32 against his former team.
And I can't wait for the Cretans to come out, why did we trade Costanzo? He'll play 2 of our goalies. When they don't understand that, again, not taking anything away from Joey, but he was not tested as much as the other goaltenders were in this game. Again, if he was on the opposite side of things, I don't think it would have changed the final score. If you have Costanzo in there other than Rosenzweig and
Windsor's
Flores.
a good team. They have a really good team, and they have a really good coach. Mark Savard's a former NHLer. So, they have Mark Savard has been there for a while, and he's shown that he can make Windsor a competitive team, and why he's still there to this day. So, it's just one of those things where the Ice Dog situation, wrong place at the wrong time, running into a really good Windsor Spitfire team again, who I said they did not lose in regulation going into this game. They're 5-0-3.
Yeah.
So.
And it was the homecoming for Nathan Ribau and Pasquale Zito. We know Pasquale Zito really wanted to win that game very badly going back to Windsor. The last time that he had played there, he scored a big goal in Game 6 of the OHL Finals that helped them get to Game 7 back in Hamilton, where they eventually were defeated by the Bulldogs. But we did interview Pasquale Zito pregame. We'll get to that right now. So here's Pasquale Zito on his return to Windsor and how things are going so far with the Ice Dogs. Joined now by Niagara IceDogs forward Pasquale Zito. How does it feel to be back here in Windsor playing against your old team? I'm sure it must have been weird to go in the other side of the building today. Just thoughts on being back and going against them today?
Well, obviously it's pretty fun to come in here. It feels a little weird though, won't lie, but it's pretty cool now that I'm going to be playing against my former team. Hopefully we get that W, because I don't want to go back to Niagara losing to my former team. So it feels good.
Yeah, are you planning on having some competitive, good rivalries out there with some of your old former teammates and former friends? Just have you kind of reached out to any of them and kind of looking forward to this day?
I mean, I love them all. Obviously, those are my family for the past couple of years. But on the ice, unfortunately, there's no friends. So I'll be finishing my checks, doing what I do, and just playing my game.
It's been about a month into the season now. How have you felt getting adjusted here to this new team? Obviously, you were with Windsor for most of your career, and then you went off to Red Wings camp. So how have you kind of been able to put all that together and really move forward with this OHL season and trying to really have a good year as one of the top point producers on the team? You just talk about, it's been about a month into the season now. You come over from Windsor. You were at Red Wings camp. You've been around a little bit here and getting your feet grounded with Niagara. Just how do you think things have been going in that regard, and finally trying to get things going as a top point producer and a leader on and off the ice for this team?
I think things have been going well. I love the coaches here. I love my teammates, and I think that we're all gelling now and getting used to playing with one another. Obviously, our record doesn't show it, but I think guys are starting to connect, and we're going to be a better team a couple weeks down the road.
And can you just talk about, trying to build the chemistry on and off the ice with these guys? There's been, even since you've been here, there's been a lot of movement. There's a lot of new guys. You've had a few road trips now to get to know each other. So how is that, building process on and off the ice with the new guys and trying to, gain that chemistry, because it's so important in this league?
Well, it starts from practice. I think our practices have been a lot better than what they were at the start of the year. Fitzy's been implementing new drills and getting the guys moving the puck, moving our feet. We've been having lots of talks in the room, lots of video, and just everyone's connecting. So I think that's how you build chemistry, when you connect and you talk amongst your teammates, and I think we're doing a very good job.
Is there anybody that on the team right now that's really impressing you? Anybody that sticking out that for the right reasons, that really you didn't know coming in from the outside, that you didn't really know how good of a player they were, but now that you've gotten into the system, you're really starting to see what they are on and off the ice?
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Aiden Castle. I think that he's been doing a wonderful job. I think he's his point producing right now and his goal scoring abilities. I mean, it's not that I didn't know he was a good player. Obviously, he was a first rounder to Oshawa, so we knew he was good. But just having a breakout year, I think he's doing a good job. And even Declan Waddick and Juan Copeland, I think all those guys too. And Kevin, he's a rookie, but he looks to be having a bright future ahead of him for sure.
And you came over with Nathan Ribau as well. Can you just talk about, what type of player he is, and what do you think he's going to continue to add to this team as we move forward here into the season?
Yeah, obviously Nathan Ribau is a solid defenseman. I think one of the better ones in the league, and a lot physical aspect that he brings to the game. He could, really change a momentum in a game with a big hit or a simple outlet pass. And he's a great leader, and very happy that he came alongside with me in Niagara.
Last question. It's a big one. You guys seem like you're growing the the beards already in late October. Can you talk about who has a better beard, you or Pano Fimis?
Well, obviously, I don't want to go with myself, so I'm going to say Pano, but I'm going to give him that one. I think that he's just maintaining it. I need some beard oil, I think, and maybe maintain mine a bit better.
Last question. You got named an alternate captain, and you guys have kind of built a relationship on and off the ice. What have you thought so far of Pano, and what's that relationship like with you guys kind of being like brothers?
Yeah, honestly, I love the guy. We live together. He's a great captain, great assistant captain, and great guy. And we've been connecting really well, and hopefully he keeps going. And all the best to him.
IceDogs forward Pasquale Zito, thanks a lot for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Pasquale Zito, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Italian paisan. Good stuff there from Pasquale Zito. Kyle, I know you were interested before we get into the funny stuff there. He was really impressed with Aiden Castle, Kevin He, Juan Copeland, and Declan Waddick, so I found that interesting.
Yeah, big shout outs to Aiden Castle, the first guy you mentioned, and again, rookie Kevin Hughes looked really phenomenal in his start. Him talking about also too, like his return to Windsor is pretty cool. It's always nice to get that player's perspective and what they're thinking going back into their old barn, right? They like what's going through their mind, what he expects out of the game, and he knew that it was a good team going into it, and it was going to be a tough test against his former team because he knows exactly what a lot of players that he played with are going to bring to the table. So. And we saw it on the ice too. He was really, really grinding to get a goal against his former team. He really wanted it bad, and
he was trying too hard at times.
yeah. But I'm gonna get into the funny stuff too, because I'm gonna say right off the bat, like this interview was edited.
It was probably the most edited interview in history
because Pano was there because Brandon did interview him right before this. And he decided to take it upon himself to walk by and stare down Zito at the same time he was getting interviewed.
And then he asked where the elevator was. And then that turned into a couple expletives that we can't play on the air.
I'm shocked that he didn't rip into Pano after that about his beard. I was so shocked that he didn't make fun of
beard
him or
oil?
something like that and just say that that Pano's was better than his. I'm like, oh man, Zito, you're too nice, man. He's got a good beard,
especially after he ruined a whole interview for him, essentially.
Yeah, but that was fantastic. I love it, and you really saw between those two. They live together. They're basically brothers. So it was awesome.
The Greek and the Italian.
Yeah, and you got
you helped Zito out a little bit.
Little relationship building there with him, fellow paisan, and I guess my boy Copeland, who was mostly on my side for most of the trip and was bugging you for most of the trip.
Yeah, he was giving it to me about the Sabres, but guess what, Juan? If you're drafted by the blue and gold, you know who.
Juan might be my favorite player. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah,
off the ice, he's the kid's hilarious.
Oh, he was
definitely my favorite player off the ice so far.
He was giving it to Ted for going to the wrong hotel. So
I think he's our new ambassador. It was before
Peters.
Was it Ryan Struthers? Or no, it was Cam Peters. Now it's Juan Copeland.
Yeah, friend of the show, Cam Peters. But yeah, Juan Copeland's been a good replacement, that's for sure. And Coach will talk about him later as well. What are we looking at for time here? Might be able to get in the Pano Fimis interview and then quickly come back from break.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So let's get in the Pano Fimis interview that Kyle previously mentioned about him being named alternate captain for this team. So here's number 19 of the Niagara IceDogs, Pano Fimis. Joined now by newly named alternate captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Pano Fimis. Pano, initial thoughts on the news this week that the coaching staff entrusted you and thought that you earned the spot to be given an A on this team. So just thoughts on that and moving forward.
Yeah, it was definitely an honor. Anytime you're named a captain, whether it be an assistant or a captain, it's always an honor. And to have that opportunity to be trusted by my teammates and my coaching staff definitely means a lot. So it was a pretty cool moment.
And can you just talk about the progression? You came in as a young player. You now being a couple years in the league, and is there really anything that you've learned from the last couple of years that has really developed you into a good leader and developed your leadership skills on and off the ice?
100%. You come into the league as a young player, like you said, and there's definitely a lot to learn. So the last year and a bit have been a great opportunity for me to learn how to kind of mature into that leadership role and take that next step in my game and help the team for put my best foot forward.
And do you think because you're one of the guys that's been here, through the last couple of years, the difficult years to kind of get through, the adversity that you guys had to battle through and really trying to turn into winners this year, do you think that you can really help the team just knowing, what you guys have been through here and how hungry you are to be winners and to take that next step, and you personally trying to earn that pro contract as well?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot to learn from last year and a lot to bring into this year. So it definitely helps kind of getting that year of experience in the books and knowing what to do and what not to do, and kind of using that experience towards this year and bringing a winning culture to this locker room.
Can you talk about, there's been about half the team that's new now. There's been so many trades, so much movement within this organization. A lot of guys that you played with last year aren't here anymore. So can you just talk about, you guys building as a group and as teammates and trying to build that chemistry on and off the ice? You've had a few road trips now to kind of, get that going. How has that progression been like, for the first month or so of the season?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Like you said, there's been a lot of moves in and out of the locker room. So there's a lot of new faces. Some of the familiar ones are gone. So there's definitely that chemistry that needs to be built. But I think we're doing a great job of kind of creating that bond in the locker room, on the ice, off the ice, and it's going in the right direction.
And for you personally, I know the first week was rough. You only played about 5 minutes in the first game before, the unfortunate penalty happened. Then you missed the road trip in Michigan, and then it kind of took you a little bit to get back going again. So how do you feel like your game is going? You obviously have that nice goal the other night against the Sarnia Sting. So how are you kind of getting your feet under you now, again, after missing that first kind of week and a half of the season?
Yeah, obviously everything's in the past now, but it was a little break that I think needed to be there. Obviously, you never want to be suspended, but you kind of deal with whatever's thrown at you. So I took those couple of days off to kind of regroup with myself and just analyze the game from a different perspective. And obviously coming back, getting into game shape, it's never easy, but I think I've done a good job of getting my feet back under me and kind of hit the ground running again.
Two more quick ones. We almost didn't recognize you. You're growing the beard now. You're becoming a young man. Is this something that you're planning on keeping if continues your goal streak here, or is it planning on coming off?
Oh, we'll see. I'm not too superstitious, but some people are a fan of it, some people aren't. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
And last question, big one here. Your father, Chris Fimis, can he grow a better beard than you, or do you think that you've got him beat on that regard?
Right now, he thinks he's got me beat, but I'm sure the future will tell.
Newly named alternate captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Pano Fimis, thanks so much for doing this, and best of luck.
Thanks. Appreciate
I mean, I like his beard.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
I don't know if his father can grow a beard or not, but Kyle, quick thoughts on Pano Fimis. He's definitely, like we mentioned in the interview, God, he's growing up so fast, makes us feel so old saying that. But even from when he first got here to now, like, he's just matured so much as a young man on and off the ice, and it's really cool to see. Like, we almost feel like we're a big brother to the poor kid because we just bug him. We've been bugging him for over 2 years now, ever since he was drafted, and we've just seen the progression in his game, and him as a leader. It's really cool to see, and I'm really glad that he's been here for us to kind of have that since we've kind of started this thing.
Yeah, you can tell like his maturity level is definitely gone through the roof, and it's the way he presented himself in that interview and the things he said just goes to show you that they did pick a really good assistant captain. He's really taken it upon himself to get better to get better in his own game, but at the same time to help the team out where he can be, being as the assistant captain and getting them to where he knows that this team could be at right now. So he's just shown every trait possible that the IceDogs did make a fantastic decision in him being the assistant captain. Again, the maturity level speaks volumes when it comes to something like that. And
we talked about, the chip on his shoulder is massive this year to earn that pro contract, and after not being drafted this last year. And we've already seen that what Pano Fimis can do on the ice is definitely going to impress some people. So great job by Pano, and congratulations to him. Yeah. On being named an alternate captain. Nothing much else to say there. So We're going to take a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll come back. And right when we come back, we're going to jump into the weekend wrap-up with Coach Daniel Fitzgerald, which will take up most of the second segment today. Really good insight there from the Niagara IceDogs head coach, and really insightful answers. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. And on the other side of it, we'll get the weekend wrap-up from head coach Daniel Fitzgerald.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
Hey, this is Landon Cato, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Joined on the post game now by the head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, Daniel Fitzgerald, coming off the 3-game week for the Niagara IceDogs. Coach, I know the results weren't there, an 0-2-1 record, but were there some positives that you could take away from the week itself?
Yeah, there are always positives. You know, there are things that we saw in some players' games that were good, but the problem is we're not seeing it consistently. And you know, we started the game. If you look at the first 11 minutes or so in Windsor, we pushed the pace. We did what we wanted to do, and then we make some unfortunate mistakes. And it's just poor reads or adding risk to our game that we don't need to. And that seems to happen with this group. We get comfortable with the way that we're playing, and we feel like we can push the envelope. Where what we really need to do is stay with what we're doing and know that it's going to pay off. And we do that, and we're going to be successful. It's going to take time, and we need to work some things out, especially on the defensive side with some of our details. But we're confident that we'll get there.
You've had some time to kind of think about it now from the week itself. It was 3 games and 4 nights, so and on the road it wasn't easy as well. So how do you kind of balance that with knowing that you were undermanned this week, and then you lose Denisio after the Sarnia game with that unfortunate play at the end of the game, and you're shorthanded on forward and on D, where more guys are getting more ice time, but then they're also more susceptible to fatigue and things like that. Did you end up seeing any of that kind of in the Windsor game as it went on?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's no excuse. We have an opportunity to showcase ourselves, especially guys who are moving up the lineup. It was partially our own doing. Rod made a poor decision, and I didn't actually see it. I haven't seen video of it, so I don't really want to comment on it. But
right.
It's the call was made, and we shouldn't put ourselves in positions where we're getting calls like that against us. And managing our emotions is a big part of this game. There are going to be highs and there are going to be lows, and you need to be better at managing that. But with the shortened bench, it's obviously not ideal. We want to be healthy. We want everybody in the lineup. We want guys fighting for spots and fighting for ice time, and obviously that becomes more difficult the more you get bit by the injury bug. But that we're not using that as an excuse. We're still expecting to win hockey games and put ourselves in positions to win hockey games. So difficult, but not impossible.
after going 0 for 4 on the power play against Erie on Thursday, you guys end up having a 50% power play essentially over the last 2 games and on the weekend, 3 for 5 out of the last 2 games. I know the power play was something that last week, when you have that 5-minute power play and you were only able to get 1 shot, was the power play something that you guys really worked on this week, and something that, despite the results in the final score, it was something that your special teams unit was, something that was a positive to take away from this week?
Yeah, we were very happy with the special teams. When you look at it as a collective, you're going to have those games where it doesn't quite go your way. Erie was one of those. But Shazi puts a lot of hard work into the power play. We have a lot of meetings. We have a lot of time on the ice, focus to it. That's why we're number 3 in the league. There's no mistake, and it's not by chance. It's done through hard work. It's done through the commitment of the players and the commitment of Brandon with his work on that side of the special teams. The penalty kill falls under me, and we're in a position where now we're feeling very confident in it. I think we were 87.5% on the weekend, 100% after the Erie game. So a lot of good things there. We're trending in the right way. I think we moved up to 10th or 11th in the league now. We're looking to use that as part of changing games and changing momentum. And we say it all the time that a kill is as good as a goal, and we've really bought into that, and got a lot of good things on the penalty kill. So the combination of the power play and the penalty kill, we want to win that special teams battle. It's part of our process. So we're really happy with that after the weekend, but obviously we have areas that we want to clean up beyond that.
Mm-hmm. And going into specific players from this weekend, I know it was homecoming for 3 of your players. Dan was back in Sarnia,
yep.
And then Ribau and Zito were back in Windsor. How did you think that they played in kind of going back to their to kind of where they played last year? And do you put any stock into that? Do you think that players play differently against their former teams, or even the players that have played you against the IceDogs who were formerly here in Niagara? Like, do you see any difference there, or at least for the first couple of games when you go back to playing your old teams?
Oh, for sure. There's more bite in your game. You obviously think about it. You have those friendships. You have those relationships. You have a little bit of animosity as well. Why didn't they keep me, or why did they move on from me? So there's some added bite to the game. I thought Nolan played great in Sarnia. His line was hot. His line was hot all weekend, and a big contributor for us. It didn't quite show as it had in the previous games on the score sheet, but he does so many things for us all over the ice that help us be successful. And then going into Windsor, Pasquale and Nathan played great games, played hard. You could see the jump in Pasquale's game. You could see the aggression in Nathan's game, and it wasn't a night that they're going to want to remember for a long time. It didn't quite go the way that they had envisioned, but they played hard for us. I kind of wish that we gave a little bit more around them, both those guys, to provide, wins at the end of the day. But, they're such big parts of our team, kids that care so much about our success. So, we're going to keep fighting for them. And for Nathan and Pasquale, they have another opportunity coming this Friday to get revenge on the Windsor Spitfires, so I'm sure they're looking forward to that.
Right, and Juan Copeland, 4 assists this week, continues to produce on that top line, and you've kind of given him that ice time, and he's been able to take it and run with it. Can you just talk about him continuing to have that maturation process? You give him that opportunity in the top 6, and it seems like he's showing that he's got a little bit of assist magic in his game. He's not just a goal scorer.
Yeah, no, Juan he's multidimensional when it comes to his offensive game. He can break you down off the rush. He can set guys up on his line. He's a scoring threat from all areas, from the home plate, from outside of it. He does a lot off the cycle to create havoc, and he's a very gifted offensive player. And for him, our goal, and I know it's his goal as well, is to get him NHL looks and get him, up the draft board for a number of these teams. And the best way to do that for him is to round out his game. He needs to continue to work on the defensive details, and he's committed to that. The kid is, he's all in on trying to become a better hockey player for the Niagara IceDogs, and then a better hockey player for whoever ends up lucky enough to have him in their organization at the next level. So, it's a 17-year-old kid who's continuing to work hard and continuing to improve. And I mean, the sky is the limit for him. We're so thrilled that he's contributing offensively, and as his game continues to round out, he's going to be that much more dangerous on the offensive side of the puck, but also, he's going to be able to play in all situations as we continue to go.
Right, and Castle had 3 goals this week, but also Pano Fimis. I want to talk about him because you named him as an alternate captain this week. He scored 2 goals on the power play as well. Just what have you seen from Pano? We talked early in the season that he missed, basically that whole first week, and then it took him another week or so to finally really get going again. What have you seen from Pano? In the time that you've been here, I know he was drafted back in 2020, but the maturation process for Pano, getting to this point, and he's even got rocking a beard now, which for us, even covering him for the last couple of years, it's weird to see him with a beard. He's growing up so fast. But what have you seen from Pano Fimis to really feel like you guys can entrust him with naming him an assistant captain for this team?
For Pano, he cares. He cares deeply about the success of our hockey club. He cares deeply about his teammates. He cares deeply about playing the game the right way. And he's matured to a point where his game is really rounding out nicely. Much like Juan, it takes time, and we expect Juan to get to that point too. And for Pano, he's obviously an offensive threat whenever he's on the ice, but he does so much to get pucks back. I mean, that goal that he scored in Sarnia that ended up being the OHL play of the night, it was the hard work. It was the dedication to getting the puck back, the tenacity, the second, third effort. The goal was gorgeous, but it was everything he did to strip the puck off a great defenseman in Chandler Romeo. So for Pano, he's doing all the little things that we ask of him. He's going to continue to grow his game. He's going to continue to get better. But I think there are a lot of scouts who are watching right now, maybe kicking themselves if they didn't take a chance on him in the past draft. So, we're so thrilled with the way that he's played, the way that he continues to grow, the way that he wants to continue to grow. He's constantly asking for advice and guidance and video, and we're obviously more than happy to provide that to him, or to anybody really. But he's, we were joking about it. We send our shifts out to all our guys, and our video coach wasn't even halfway done getting everybody their clips, and Pano had already watched the clips 4 times through. So this is somebody who's committed to their craft and committed to getting better. So it's no surprise to us that he's playing the kind of hockey that he is, but that he's taking this leadership role on as well.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely earned that going forward, and playing with that major chip on his shoulder this season, but rounding out as a solid leader as well. A few more quick ones for you, Coach. Firstly, just you've had a few road trips now, and because of all the movement that's happened with the team, you've had so many guys go in and out, and do you feel like this group's finally starting to kind of get together? We spoke to Cato on his first episode of Cato's Corner last week, and he spoke that, this room is really starting to bond, and they're really starting to come together, and it just give them time. Do you really believe that that's kind of what's going on in that room, and kind of they're trying to block out all the people that are saying, that things aren't going well, but in reality, this team is really, starting to come together, and having these early road trips already has really been a positive for that.
Yeah, the road trips are certainly a bonding experience. It's great for the guys to get to know each other a little bit differently, and definitely more. But Landon's right. It takes time. It takes time with any team. It takes time with a team that's been together for years. It takes time, with a team like ours that has been put together with, returning players, new players coming in, new coaching staff, new ownership. It's going to definitely take time for us. It's not going to be the flick of a switch to impose an identity, on ourselves, on the teams that we're playing. It's going to be, we're going to show glimpses of it, and we're going to show more and show more and show more to the point where we are who we are. And, it's a long process, but we're confident in the group that we have. We're confident in the things that we're doing. We're excited about where we're going to take this team. And I think everybody who's following along is seeing that. It's seeing where our potential is, and we're so early in the season, but we're at a point now where we feel confident that this is the group that's going to help us get there. So it'll take time, but we're excited about where we're going.
That's good to hear. And moving forward to this week, you've got 2 more games on the docket. London's coming to town for their only game of the year. You guys probably don't care about this, but it's the only game that the IceDogs are going to technically be on TSN, available on the TSN app. Yeah. So it'll be a game that people around the country will be able to watch. And always playing London's always a big game. And then you get the rematch against the Windsor Spitfires, who obviously just playing them, what kind of talent they have as well. So how much of are you looking forward to this week, to really showing what you can do against 2, really good programs again this week, and trying to get back on track here with a couple of wins?
Yeah, I mean, we doesn't matter who we're playing, we don't take them lightly, but it also doesn't matter who we're playing, we think we can win. That Windsor team has obviously started the season really well. They haven't lost a game in regulation, so for us, it's another big challenge on Friday night. And then before that, Thursday, we have London coming in. It's a perennial powerhouse team. I don't care how they started. They're a great program. They know what they're doing. So for us, it's a matter of doing what we do well. We want to do focus on ourselves, do the things that help us be successful. And we're confident that translates to any opponent. We make adjustments as we go. We make adjustments for each team, but if we stick to our identity, we think we can be successful against anybody. Obviously, an added bonus that TSN is giving us that coverage, and I'm sure we're all going to be hyper aware of that. These are young guys who love the spotlight, and what better opportunity to showcase who you are as a hockey player and what it means to be a Niagara IceDog.
And lastly, Coach, speaking of the players, without giving too much away, are you expecting to have some of those guys that you were missing this week back in the lineup? If so, is there anybody that's really close to returning, and maybe some of the guys that are maybe they won't return this week, but they're getting closer?
Yeah, we have a few guys who are certainly maybes. We'll see on them. Daniel Michaud will be back for sure. He was just out with a little illness there. So for him, he'll be back in practice and then ready to go for Thursday and Friday. A couple more that we're hoping to get in there. If we can have a full lineup, it looks like there's a possible opportunity to have all 12 and 6. So if that's the case, then we're in a really good spot to put our best foot forward for 2 big games.
Perfect. Head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, Daniel Fitzgerald, wrapping up this week's 3-game week and looking forward to the games against London and Windsor back at the Meridian Center. Coach, thanks so much for doing this, and we'll talk on Thursday.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Daniel Fitzgerald. Great insight there, Kyle, from the coach, talking about the 3 games. And again, it could have just been a real quick one, but after you go 0-2-1, but he really wanted to talk about some things that they really wanted to work on, and some of the good things that happened despite not or only getting 1 point out of a possible 6, but a lot of good things to take from the head coach there, talking about another road trip weekend for the IceDogs.
Again, it's always important to stay composed when, stuff like this happens. You don't want to, he's really shown that, he's not a reactionary coach to just, after one horrible game or a few horrible games that, that's, it's time to blow stuff up, right, and not stay composed. But yeah, Fitzy's looking like a really good coach so far that can handle the pressures of having tough losses like this, and a lot of good praise for who we just heard from before the break, Pano Fimis, right? So that was really big too, and the praise that he gave him. And again, it also goes into that decision of them making him assistant coach, right? Or assistant captain,
assistant coach.
I mean,
Pano Fimis.
Hey, Pano, maybe one day, I don't know, but yeah, that again, even it speaks volumes from Pano as him as the assistant coach, and it speaks volumes that the coach has so much faith in him and really is impressed with what he's done so far. You know, mentioning that goal that he scored in Sarnia, which was the play of the night, like, right, for the entire OHL that night out of all the games that happened. So giving him props on that as well was fantastic to see. And you know, coach had a lot of good things to say. The good things, and you point out the bad things that this team needs to work on as well. And I'm sure that that's what they've been doing the next 4 games leading into technically tonight's game against the London Knights. And when you're hearing this,
yeah, and you talk about Pano Fimis. Already, the video coach sent out the clips for him to look at, and he was already done, like before they even had finished sending the rest out to the rest of the team. So that goes to show you just the maturity level in Pano and how seriously he takes this game right now and wanting to get to that next level. So really good to hear. Really good thoughts from the coach. Doesn't get too high and doesn't get too low. After a win, he doesn't go and say that. They're not content. They're not content with just winning a game, and they're also not going to be content with losing a few games. It's the ebbs and flows of a season. There's a long way to go here. Still over 50 games. They're not going to lose sight of what they want to do. They're going to have to make some adjustments here and there, but the power play got better over the weekend, which he described as their special teams unit was really good. They had a perfect penalty kill against the Windsor Spitfires, which is a plus. And they're going to need it going into another big week here with the London Knights and the rematch with the Windsor Spitfires. So both games against Windsor.
Zito can score against his former team at home. That would I know it would feel better in their building, but hopefully he can get a goal against them on Friday.
Yeah, so really good stuff from head coach Daniel Fitzgerald, and we appreciate his time and effort in getting us such an insightful wrap-up of the weekend. So, Kyle, let's move ahead to this upcoming week. I mentioned they got games against the London Knights and the Windsor Spitfires. The game against London, for you people that don't know, it will be the IceDogs' only game, the only appearance on TSN this year. It won't be on the regular.
The TSN game tomorrow.
But it won't be the TSN. It won't be on the main broadcast. It'll be available through the TSN app, through their streaming service. So this is the one game that nationally you can watch the Niagara IceDogs via TSN app. So that as Coach said, some of the guys are going to want to. They want the spotlight. They want to show off. So hopefully they can come out with a good performance against the London Knights, and then the rematch against Windsor. They get Windsor, the 2 games that they'll play against them back to back, basically here in the middle of October, late October already. So let's go over quickly where the IceDogs stand, Kyle, in the Eastern Conference. Right now they're sitting in 8th place. They played 10 games. They've tied for the most games played already in the Eastern Conference, sitting at 3-5-2, 38 goals for, 44 against. And at least they don't have 159 penalty minutes like the Hamilton Bulldogs.
Yeah, who have this literally, but I mean, Sarnia is catching with 158. They're 1 point behind them, but yeah, at least we don't have the most penalty minutes in the league. That's a plus, I guess you can say. But you know what? It's again still early on. If you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, they're pretty close when it comes to points, right? Say they did end up winning both these games, they'd be in 5th place, right? So it's not as bad as it looks.
Ottawa's 9-0.
Yeah, Ottawa is just the team that looks like they're going to be a dominant team this year. Already starting the year 9-0 with 41 goals for and 22 against, which is insane. So we'll see, right? Again, it's only 10 games in, still 52 to go. IceDogs have a lot of work to do, and I know that they can go on a winning streak, a big 14 to 15 game winning streak where they go like 14 and or 15 game winning, or what am I trying to say? The next, like, what if like the next 15 games in November they go 13-2, right? They're suddenly the top of the OHL. It could happen. It happens in the NHL. It could happen to any team in hockey in general. So, yeah, it's not an ideal spot sitting at 3-5-2, but that could change, right? The IceDogs are going to work on it. Again, still early on, but yeah, 2 tough games against London and Windsor this week, and then they hit the 5-game road trip before they're back in the Meridian Center again, not until November 17th. So.
Oof. Yeah, so last chance to get down to the Meridian Center for a while, guys, against London and Windsor. They'll need your fan support, guys. So get down to the rink either tonight or tomorrow against the Windsor Spitfires. But
and actually, very interesting. The 17th game, that when they come back from their road trip, they're facing the Saginaw Spirit. So Misa is in the house. Where, yeah, it still hurts that Michael Misa is looking great right now, and
would have been nice to win that lottery.
Yeah, it would have been nice, right?
Except
we got a pick that didn't even report to us,
Yeah, well, he'll be back in town tonight, so we'll get to see Sam Dickinson
wait.
debut. You can't.
If you're hearing this, and this is before the game, bring your boo bird, bring him with you, put him on your shoulder. Get into that Meridian Center, and as soon as he touches the puck, I want you to turn him on. Let him boo. Rain the boos on him.
I want to cheer him because he got a bunch of boatload of draft picks.
No. 1, it's it's London. 2, he did what he did. Boo. Boo.
Do you think Flores will be allowed to wear his new equipment so he won't be having his green glove going against his
I hope it's in time. I literally hope it's here. It came in today.
I hope
but
so.
We'll see. I don't even know if he's going to play. It might be Rosie, so we'll see.
Who knows? But as far as player stats go, Kyle, I got it up on the screen as far as the season goes. But over this last weekend, Dan had a goal and 3 assists. You mentioned earlier Castle had 3 goals. He also added an assist. Fimis had 3 goals and an assist. Copeland had 4 assists, so he's becoming the bread man there, passing the puck.
Dan would have 9 goals if he had scored on all his breakaways.
Yeah, and Ribau and Zito both had a goal and assist over the weekend. So Aiden Castle leading the way with 11 points in 10 games. Pano Fimis 11 points in only 8 games, and then Pasquale Zito 10 points in 9 games. So, but Juan Copeland, since he's got up into that top 6 role, adding 4 assists to his 4 goals from last week. He's showing that he's not just a pure goal scorer. He can pass the puck, and at times, that line that they put together with Zito, Kevin He, and Juan Copeland, I've really liked that line.
Yeah, they've looked very, very good. And again, Juan Copeland taking our boy Copes, taking the most out of being in the top 6 and really using it to his game and showing his improvement and his and what he's improved on since last year. He's looked really good in that top 6, and I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, and the Castle, Fimis, and Dan line, sometimes I feel like they try to get a little too cute, but they are producing. But if they could, bury a little bit more, sometimes on those glorious chances they get, that line would be probably the best second line in the Ontario Hockey League right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Kyle, is there anything else you want to mention up before we wrap up today's show? I know we got Windsor coming in again, so they get a chance for redemption against Windsor.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough next couple of games, right? And then they have a big road trip coming up ahead, right? They have the North Bay Sudbury Sioux road trip and the Kingston Ottawa road trip, and then they're back home against Misa and the Saginaw Spirit. But one thing we forgot, I don't think we mentioned last show, the IceDogs did claim someone over waivers, an import waiver. Voldemar William Hull. He came from the Mississauga Steelheads. He's a 2005 born Swiss import player. He was drafted 98th overall in the second round of the this past import draft. He's 17 years old, straight from Switzerland. He registered 11 goals, 12 assists, and 23 points in 25 games when he was playing over there in the under 18, under 17 clubs. He's got 1 point with us now. I think he's really trying to get accustomed to his surroundings, and really it's probably going to take him a little bit of time to gain some chemistry since he just got here. So I'd say maybe we just kind of ease up on him a little bit. I think he'll find his spot and where he belongs in this lineup.
Yeah, if he could be a bottom 6 forward, I think that'd be very good for this team with the depth. that they surely need right now with all the guys out. And their 2 imports right now are both Swiss players, and him and Rodwin Denicio. So I found that really interesting. So yeah, William Hull comes into the fold here, coming over from Mississauga, who looks like a very good team this year. So we'll see if he can kind of get back to form. Before we wrap up, Kyle, we got some cool stuff coming. A little bit of a teaser. We've got some cool rapid-fire stuff coming. I don't want to give away too much, but we'll be at the rink recording some stuff over the next little while, and hopefully after the editing process is done, you'll see it on the channel and maybe even at the rink as well when you're watching the games. But other than that, I want to mention before we wrap up, we did get to meet a fan of ours this last week, and that was really cool.
That's right.
Anytime we meet a fan or a parent that watches the show, it's really cool. But for this young man, it was amazing. His family brought him up from the United States, and Desmond Garrett, one of our biggest fans of the show, it was nice enough to meet with us and give us one of his signed hockey cards there. So look at that.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah,
so cool. He was tremendous kid. He's doing great stuff right now. So
yeah,
we wish you nothing but the best, Desmond, and we hope to see you maybe in an Ice Dog uniform one day, which would be really cool to see.
Yep, he gave us his All-Stars card, the U8 All-Stars on defense. So he's a defenseman, and we'll see if he can maybe teach Cato a few things when he gets back onto the ice or not. But it was really cool. The Ice Dogs let him go into the dressing room and announce the starting lineup, and he got to go out on the bench for the warm-up. So really cool stuff there. Getting Desmond Garrett a moment he'll never forget coming up here to Niagara, and good on the Ice Dogs and Landon Cato and everybody else who kind of set that thing up for the young man, because I'm sure it's something that he'll never forget. 7 years old now, but he's been featured already in a lot of cool hockey things. So shout outs to his parents. And to Desmond, because I'm sure that was a really, really cool moment for him, and it was a cool moment for us, being able to meet one of our youngest fans who literally likes all of our tweets. So thanks to him, and we'll be putting Kyle and I both got a hockey card we'll be putting up and for a keepsake. So I'll take that over any Toronto Maple Leafs card any day of the week, even if it was But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast. A little longer of an episode, but we had 3 interviews to get through and to recap 3 games from this past weekend. So if you guys are enjoying the video content, again, make sure you're hitting that like, smashing that bell icon, and that bell icon, like, and subscribe for all the video content on our network. Like I said, Kyle's got some cool gaming stuff going on right now. Go and check that out as well. If you guys want to support the podcast, go over to @DogPound Podcast and give us a follow on Twitter. That's where all of our stuff is posted. You listen to us on audio, in audio form, wherever you're getting your podcasts at, and find us on the Niagara Ice Dogs website. All of our episode's are posted on NiagaraIceDogs.net under the media tab and our Dog Pound Podcast page. As always, I'm your host of the Dog Pound Podcast. My name is Brandon Caputo. You can follow me on Twitter @Caputs13_AGM. You can follow my co-host Kyle @JustKyle51. Thanks so much to all of our fans for listening in for another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast. And until next time, go Dogs go, bark, 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 and we'll talk to you guys again very soon. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.